The day before the New York State Fair, an unusually timed August primary. A retiring incumbent leaves Central New York's congressional seat wide open. Newly drawn boundaries put all of Onondaga, Oneida, and Madison counties and a single Oswego County neighborhood into the 22nd District. The cities of Utica and Syracuse will have the same representative for the first time. Some people have already voted, but others still haven't decided who they'll choose. Registered Republicans can pick from 2 candidates, one of whom declined to debate. Democrats have 4 candidates, and they're all here tonight.
From your local election headquarters, this is the Democratic debate in the race for Congress in New York's 22nd District. These are the candidates: Sam Roberts, Sarah KLEE Hood, Francis CONOLE, and CHOL MAJOK. Here now is your moderator, News Channel 9's Andrew Donovan.
Good evening. We're broadcasting to all corners of what will become the 22nd Congressional District. Welcome to those watching in both the greater Syracuse and Utica regions, and welcome to the 4 candidates. Thanks to each of you for being here. We'll get to closing statements at the end, but we want to get right to the questions. Based on a drawing from a hat, we'll start with Francis CONOLE and then rotate who goes first throughout. Mr. CONOLE, Democrats are projected to lose seats in Congress. You have the chance to help gain one, flipping this Republican seat into your party. What makes you the best choice for Democratic voters while remaining attractive to moderate Republicans in the general election?
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. Also, I really enjoyed the opening. It's wonderful to be here. We're all here tonight to talk about the issues. We're not dodging, we're not avoiding debates. We are here, and I think that is something that's going to be very important, one, to all Central New Yorkers. I think specifically with my background, first is my roots here growing up. I've experienced the good and the bad times here with Central New York. My background as a veteran, it's unique. I graduated from the Naval Academy right before 9/11, served on the ground in Iraq, served at the senior levels of our military. But then also I've served at the senior levels of our federal government, both in our intelligence community and at the Pentagon, advising a cabinet level official focused on the real challenges over in the Middle East. So I bring this unique background, both my experiences here, but then serving at the senior levels of our federal government. I think people want problem solvers. They don't want hyper partisanship. They don't want extremism. They want people who are going to take on the challenges that we face.
All right, we'll go to Sarah KLEE Hood now. Councilor KLEE Hood, same question to you. How do you attract Democratic voters now, but Republican voters later?
Sure. So again, thank you, Andrew, for hosting this event tonight. It's lovely to be here with the candidates. I don't bring anything too shiny to the table. What I bring is myself, my experiences, and my qualifications. I'm Sarah KLEE Hood. I was born and raised here in Central New York. I graduated out of Madison County. I too have the unique experience of serving as an officer in the Air Force, where I led 140 troops and managed a budget of $25 million. After leaving the service, we returned home because Central New York is a fantastic place to raise a family. My 2 daughters are attending public school, and at this moment in this country, we are facing an existential threat to our civil rights, and we need somebody that has both the personal experience and the know-how to ensure that we uphold equity in this country. But more importantly, I'm looking to bridge the divide. As a family member that is a Democrat, I grew up with a lot of Republicans. I am comfortable in that world, and I understand that together we can make the solutions happen.
All right, Councilor KLEE Hood, thank you. Sam Roberts.
Yes, sir. What I bring to the table is my experience. I have been elected 8 times, not counting one time. There's a primary victory as well. But the thing is, I've served in the county legislature, and I was a minority in the minority party. And I was actually appointed to chair a committee by a Republican chairperson. So I have a lot of experience working across the aisle, been effective in doing so, done a lot for Onondaga County. When I became a state assemblyman, did the same thing, even though we were in the majority. But you know, I was elected to 3 terms in the state assembly, former commissioner of a state agency. You know, you mentioned budgets and stuff. I oversaw $5.6 billion budget and had over 2,000 people under me across the state of New York. So I bring that to the table, and I'm electable across the aisle, and we get things done. It's about people.
All right, Mr. Roberts, thank you. City Councilor CHOL MAJOK, same question to you.
So I bring lived experience and professional experience, and that is I came through being raised by a single dad, and as well as a refugee and an immigrant, as well as I have a lived experience in the rural community, as well as a father, as well as going through foster care. So I bring a lived experience that will coincide with a lot of Americans today. Now, with that, I'm also, in terms of education, I have went as far as having a doctorate, and that show work ethic. I'm bringing that to people, and people will recognize themselves in that. Also, I'm a city council. I'm serving my second term. Representation is constituent service. I have over 10 years of that as a staffer to 2 New York State senators and a mayor, and obviously serving my second term as a city councilor. That matters. People want to see themselves in their leaders, and that's what I bring. I connect with all people across aisle in all America because my story is an American story.
All right, thank you. Sarah Klee Hood, you get to start question number 2. Looking at the last 2 years, the price of gas and eggs have both doubled. In 1 year, groceries are up 13%, gas 44%. When many voters go to the polls, those prices will be in the back of their minds. Both Republican candidates blame this kind of inflation on Biden policies. True or not, how do you avoid being lumped into that blame?
I get it. I am a mom raising 2 young children, and I am crisscrossing this district. I'm at the gas pump at least twice a week, and I'm at the grocery store at least 3 times a week. The prices are climbing, and we're all feeling it. But if we truly want to address inflation, we must, number one, acknowledge that it is not of one cause. There are multiple factors going on here, to include the pandemic, the Russian situation, supply-demand issues. But at the end of the day, we will only address inflation when we get serious about talking about antitrust reform. There are major corporations that have monopolies across the U.S. in various markets that are taking corporate profits over the last few quarters, while Americans are struggling at their paycheck and at the bank. So I think it's time that we start looking at truly reforming antitrust laws and ensuring that they are in action to deliver better policies and better price points for the American people. Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, the same question, avoiding being lumped into being blamed for the inflation.
Well, we all have to take a part of the blame, I guess. We're all a part of the problem and the solution. The thing to that is, we have to look locally. We talked about the price of food and those kind of situations. We have to support our small businesses, our small farmers, and to keep food coming in. Gas, we need to, keep reducing the taxes that people pay, which we've done that. You see the prices dropping on the gas prices. So that's the thing. We have to really bring things back. Everything is local. Like I said, all government is local, it's local. So we can't just keep passing the blame on folks. We have to shoulder that too. We're part of America, but we're also a part of what makes America great. And so we just have to, again, put our shoulder together, push it in the same way, and get it done, and stop making up excuses.
Mr. MAJOK, you know that you can look forward to Republican attacks as a Democrat if you make it to the general, especially on inflation. How do you avoid being lumped into that blame?
Well, it's important as Americans to know that we depend a lot on foreign oil and for energy consumption, and close to 40% of our energy consumption is foreign oil. And I think as to further step away from that, it's important that we do not depend on foreign oil. Look at Russia. It's 2 to 7% of our energy consumption, and look at what it did for us. I think it's important for us as Americans to avoid further inflation, to step away from fossil fuel. Second to that, we have to invest in housing. Right now, the prices of rent is too high for ordinary people. Our corporate folks are seeing that, and they are exploiting that. So it's time for us to start investing in housing so that ordinary people can do for themselves, so that they are not exploited.
Mr. CONOLE, you're already being lumped in as a Democrat for the blame on inflation. How do you avoid that moving forward?
Well, listen, Andrew, I approach this not as a politician. I approach this with a background of problem solving, working with Democrats and Republicans. And I think this is an issue where Democrats in Washington and Republicans in Washington have moved too slow. I released a plan in January. There are things Congress could do immediately that could help lower costs for working families. Things like lowering the cost of prescription drugs, things like lowering the cost of health care, things like doing a temporary lift of the gas tax at a federal level to give immediate relief at the pump. Middle-class tax cuts. These are things that Congress and Washington could do immediately to help middle-class and working-class families, but they're not moving at the speed of relevance. They're moving too slow, and I think it's part of the dysfunction in Washington. And then, finally, I think there's some longer-term things we need to look at. We do need to take a look at our supply chains, how they've become over-consolidated, how we can invest in our ports, our roads, our bridges, to make sure that going forward, we don't face these challenges.
We're going to start with Sam Roberts for this question. Roe versus Wade has become a dominant issue in this election, nationwide, all elections. You've said, most of you, if not all of you, have said you'd codify the abortion protections into law, but you'll face the 60-vote filibuster in the Senate. The Democrats may lose seats there too, which won't help that cause. What more achievable, immediate ways can you protect a woman's right to an abortion if you're elected?
Well, first of all, I support a woman's right to choice 100%. Her body, her choice. What we have to do is, like I said, codify and try to reverse and do whatever we have to do in Congress to overturn and rewrite the law so it stands, so the Supreme Court, who is appointed by presidents who never even, they didn't even win the majority vote when they won. So we have to do that. We have to make sure that it happens quickly, because we have to keep abortion and a woman's right to choose, we have to keep it safe and healthy. And so we save lives. That's the important part. So we have to take that to DC, to the Capitol, and make sure it gets done.
But something more immediate than that. You'll face the 60 Senate vote.
Yeah, but the president, he has to sign an executive order and stand behind that. And we have to stand behind him in his decision.
All right, Mr. Majok.
So I think as a dad, I'm raising 4 daughters and my wife. So when the decision of Roe versus Wade came down, it hit me hard, because that's my life. Those are my family. That's my wife and children, my wife and daughters. It hit me hard. I take that personal. So for us moving forward, it's important for us to start strengthening democracy, because to start electing people that can relate to people that can see themselves in how people are living. And how we do that is to engage people that have never been engaged before, so that they can come out. People are getting elected, people that shouldn't be elected. And this is why these things are happening. And it's important that we engage ordinary American, everyone, so that they can come forefront and strengthen our democracy, because our democracy is under attack. And the way we strengthen that is build engagement and structure engagement, so that we continue to elect people that can relate to people.
Mr. CONOLE, in January, if you take the seat, immediate action to respond to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I think that in the immediate term, there are things that we can do. I think one of them is making sure that women across the country have access and greater access to abortion medication through the U.S. Postal Service, making sure that that's protected. And then this is going to be a longer-term fight. We're going to need to elect people that are committed to that fight, to codifying this at the federal level. I think what the courts did was egregious. It was a overturning of 50 years of precedent. It's massive government overreach. It's infringement on women's human rights, and we need to be committed to restoring that right. And I'll just say, let's remember, Central New Yorkers, that both of the Republicans have applauded the decision. Right now, 165 Republicans in the House have signed on to a bill that would ban abortion everywhere, in all circumstances. So this is what we're up against, and we have to be committed to restoring these freedoms.
Councilor KLEE Hood, your immediate action to respond to the Supreme Court.
Sure. This isn't a talking point for me. This is my life. This is the future for our daughters and for our granddaughters. I'm pro-choice because when I received devastating news from my doctor, I was able to make that choice. It was a choice between my family and my doctor, but the important part being I had the freedom to make that choice. So when we start talking about Roe v. Wade and women's rights, it's no longer a letter to an editor. It is action, and it must be backed up by experience and trustworthy sources. Look, my grandmother fought, my mother fought, I am now fighting. I do not want my daughters and the next generation to fight this same fight. We must codify Roe, and if that means we need to look to expand the court by 4 to align to U.S. circuit courts, then that's what needs to happen, because at the end of the day, abortion is health care and women are not second-class citizens.
All right, thank you so much. We'll move on to question 4, and we'll start with Councilor MAJOK. An issue in this race has become political donations from outside the district, including now almost $500,000 from a PAC funded by a crypto billionaire toward Mr. CONOLE's campaign. Councilor MAJOK, is that amount of money an issue for you coming from the outside? And what would you do as someone who also gets donations to make sure you don't have conflicts of interest?
Well, I can tell you, Andrew, that I don't have any PAC money at all whatsoever. In fact, the money I get are from ordinary people that give me a little bit here and a little there. And the reason why I'm so for reforming campaign finance is that it does a couple of things. First of all, it weakens our democracy. Second, what it does also, it continues to push away skills and people with talent away from politics. Look at me, I'm taking a shot from the campaign finance perspective. I shouldn't be here. And I am just as an American as anybody else. So it's important we reform that, and it's weakening our democracy. And as somebody that has been on the other side where there's no democracy, this is troubling for me.
Mr. CONOLE, the money I mentioned is going to your campaign. How will you avoid conflict of interest? How will you be able to regulate industries like that?
Well, I mean, the first thing I did as a candidate was I took the no corporate PAC pledge. I have not taken a dime of any corporate PAC money. I've been endorsed by End Citizens United, which is the marquee organization focused on and dedicated to getting big money out of politics and doing campaign finance reform. I am 100% in support of this. The support I received was focused on supporting candidates who would really support getting ready for the next pandemic. And some have said, well, that's a given. Well, it's not a given. Look at where we are right now with the monkeypox pandemic. We are once again slow to respond, and we are once again flat-footed. And I want to be clear of the whole story. That support is also the same reason why I've been endorsed by Planned Parenthood, the same reason why I've been endorsed by unions, why I've been endorsed by Democratic committees, and why I've been endorsed by the Sierra Club and the League of Conservation Voters. It's because of the strength of our campaign, the strength of our policies, and what's at stake in November.
Would you be willing to regulate crypto mining, cryptocurrency?
I do think cryptocurrency needs to be regulated. I absolutely do. The president issued an executive order calling for an all-government approach to taking a look at this from the environmental perspective, making sure that consumers are protected and making sure that financial institutions are protected.
All right, Councilor KLEE.
Great, thank you. I'd like to update everybody. The dark money coming in support of my opponent has now reached over $500,000. There was another donation last night. How are you seeing it, folks at home? You're seeing it through commercials on TV, and you're seeing it through mailers that are ending up in your mailbox. Francis CONOLE, the issue here at hand is no longer cryptocurrency, it's personal integrity. On both his website and in personal speaking engagements, my opponent has announced that he would overturn Citizens United, that he does not support special interest corporation donations, and he does not support super PAC donations. What we are seeing now is he's actively soliciting and courting super PACs, dark money, without saying a word through the practice of red boxing. If you're unfamiliar with it, I highly encourage you to look up red boxing. That information is on my website, and I've also posted an op-ed in Syracuse.com. How can we trust a candidate that doesn't even keep his word on the campaign trail to uphold the importance of American democracy if he should ever be elected? Actions speak louder than words, and we're all watching.
All right, it will be Sam Roberts' turn in a minute, but I want to let Francis CONOLE respond. His name was invoked.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, this is the exact kind of takedown politics that I think Central New Yorkers are so tired of. I mean, this support was entirely focused on getting ready for the next pandemic. I have upheld my word. I've never taken a dime of corporate PAC money. Take a look at what the amount of money the Republicans receive. It comes in from big oil, from supporters of the gun lobby. It comes in from big pharma, and I've never taken any of that. 90 to 95% of the resources and the money we've raised has come from individual donors. I'm absolutely committed to that. It's the reason I received the endorsement of End Citizens United. It's the organization that champions getting big money out of politics. There's a reason why I received the endorsement of Sierra Club and the League of Conservation Voters. This is just circular firing squad politics.
Sam Roberts, what do you think about the outside income coming into this race?
That's the way it works. I mean, I'm not coming to anybody's defense, and I want to step out of the middle between these two. But the thing is, they're running ads for him, and it doesn't make it right, it doesn't make it wrong. But the thing is when you get it, I've been in, office, I've been in, like I say, in the state assembly, it's about the integrity that you bring to the floor. It's about the integrity of the vote that you bring. I've been in situations when I was in the county legislature when, the same kind of entities came at me. And, I stepped off and I said, hey, I understand what you're saying, but, that's your fight. You have to take it to the people. But I support campaign financing from the public level. We have to get public money in so we can keep big money out to level the playing field. It's a bigger issue when the Republicans come in with all of their outside corporate donations and all the things that they do. See, so the Democrats, I trust everybody here that they're going to do the best job that they can, whoever gets elected. And that's where I'm at. But I think campaign financing, I support reforming it and a public financing of campaigns so more people can get involved. Because the thing is that a lot of folks, we need the best people forward. Everybody doesn't have the money.
Thank you so much. I want to move now to the one-word answers. Maybe 2 words, but we're gonna work to keep it brief. They are simple questions. We're gonna start with Francis CONOLE. We're starting the order over. Mr. CONOLE, if you fall short in the primary, will you support the Democrat standing next to you?
Yes, always do.
All right, Sarah KLEE Hood.
Absolutely.
Sam Roberts.
Yes.
And CHOL MAJOK.
Absolutely.
All right, next question starts with Sarah KLEE Hood. Based on evidence you have now, should President Donald Trump be criminally charged?
Absolutely.
Sam Roberts.
Yes.
CHOL MAJOK.
I want to look at what the committee will recommend because we are a nation of rule and laws.
So
that's what I will go
undecided
with.
right now.
I will go with whatever the findings are. I want accountability.
Mr. CONOLE.
Yes.
All right. We'll start with Sam Roberts. Would you support Andrew Cuomo in a future campaign?
Possibly.
CHOL MAJOK.
No.
Francis CONOLE.
No.
Sarah KLEE Hood.
No.
What would you say is the biggest foreign threat to the United States? And we will begin with Sam Roberts.
How we deal with the Ukraine and Russia.
CHOL MAJOK.
Foreign intervention in democracy and poverty.
Francis CONOLE.
I think it's the division within our own country.
And Sarah KLEE Hood.
It's the division with our own country and our political system.
All right, CHOL MAJOK, this is our last one-word answer. Give me one word to describe yourself that doesn't apply to your 3 opponents.
American.
Francis CONOLE.
Tall.
Sarah KLEE Hood.
Energized.
Sam Roberts.
Experience.
All right, you'll each get 45 seconds for a closing statement. We're going to begin with Sam Roberts.
Yes, well, thank you for hosting this. First of all, you have a beautiful studio here. But as I stated, we're all great Democrats with the same values that we share. The difference with me is that I come with 14 years legislative experience, and that's what we need. We need someone with experience that knows what they're doing to go to Washington, to go to Capitol Hill, to argue, fight, and get the legislation passed that we need to make America and Central New York a better place to live.
All right, thank you. Francis CONOLE, your closing statement.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Channel 9 News, for having us here tonight. Thank you to my fellow candidates. I'm run alongside 3 great Americans. And thank you to Central New York for tuning in tonight. We have a choice in this election coming up in November. We've got on the one side chaos, extremism, and on the other side common sense and fighting for working people. We've got those who want to divide us, those who want to attack our capital. those who want to bring AR-15s to public places, who want to take away a woman's right to choose and support corporations that are shipping jobs overseas. We began this campaign with a simple message that especially now, as we face a multitude of crises, we need serious people to meet this moment. And I am committed to fighting every day for the hardworking people of Central New York. Thank you so much for joining tonight. It's been the honor of my life running to represent all of you.
Thank you so much. Councilor MAJOK, your closing statement.
Thank you so much for having us here tonight. It's truly an honor to stand beside, just to echo what Francis has said. These are great candidates, and I'm honored to be here today. As an immigrant, as a refugee, as somebody that went through foster care, somebody that was raised as an orphan, I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm here. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful to this nation for giving me a second chance in life. But my story is not so unique because so many Americans are like me. It is time for us to start electing people like that so that they can continue to strengthen our democracy. I'm here to humanize and normalize politics. And it's important that we normalize politics so that ordinary people can see themselves in the process.
All right, Councilor Sarah KLEE Hood, the final closing statement is yours.
Great, thank you. The system is broken. The system is broken because the first question asked is how much money have you raised? It's not what are your qualifications, integrity, or community support. The system is broken because DC insiders believe that money is power. Community, people, votes, that's the real power. I'm living here and raising a family here. I'm the true climate champion. I work every day to create climate technology that will help build green jobs of the future. I'm pro-choice because I had to make that choice when my family received devastating news. I'm running to represent all the doors I've knocked, all the sidewalks I've walked down, and all of the women who have been told to wait your turn. On August 23rd, you have a choice to elect someone who is principled, will not sell out to the highest bidder, and truly represent the voice of Central New York. I would be honored to receive your vote on August 23rd, and to the News Channel 9 team, thank you for having us. It's been a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. Thanks to the 4 Democrats for being here. A note for Republican voters, News Channel 9 planned a debate between the 2 primary candidates. Brandon Williams agreed to it, but Steve Wells declined our invitation. We look forward to the winner of that race debating the winning Democrat. Again, we'd like to thank the 4 of them for being here and participating tonight, and thanks to our viewers from both the Syracuse and Utica areas. Remember, early voting continues through Sunday. Polls are open on Tuesday for primary day. I'm ANDREWDONOVAN in Syracuse. Good night.